Today our group 3 want to present our database project, which is about the Tujafasan Library UTM Police. This is about library management. So this is our table of content. First, project member, company background, purpose statement, project objectives, business rule, entity relationship diagram, and lastly conclusion. Meet our team. This is our member teams. First, Encik Khairul Iman. Second, Mr. FAHIM HAZIQ. Third, NORAIMAN. And lastly, SYABIL. So this is our company background. So the Library of Institute Technology Mara ITM was established on 5 July 1974 with the founding of ITM Police. The library began as Tun Abdul Library, PITA, with limited facilities. It moved to the permanent Arau campus in 1977. A dedicated building was complete in 1985 and later renamed Pustakaan Tujafasan, and extension was added in 1993. By 2010, the library held 98,000 books and served in 8,500 users, making it the third oldest YTM library. A new library building was complete and officially opened on 1 November 1970, providing modern study and learning facility. And next, our problem statement. First, data inconsistency. As the data is being recorded manually by handwriting, they might be inaccurate. Reports on book inventory and borrowing status, also difficulty to tracking overdue or missing book that is being recorded between the registration counter and the library. Second, data redundancy. Since there are many customer walk into the library, there might be the new and old customer. If a library database store a customer name and contact information in the board customer details table and borrow books table, the information might be duplicated. It's reduce efficiency and reliability of the library management system. And lastly, data anomalies occur when the data must be updated in multiple places and some instances are missed. If a member changes their phone number, it must be updated in both the customer table and borrow books table. If one is not updated, inconsistent data occur. Next, our business rule. A customer need to make first a customer need to make registration to make a borrow transaction. Second, a customer may borrow multiple books, but each borrowing records refer to only one book. Each book must have a unique book ID and is associated with one publisher. A book may be written by one or more author, and the author may write multiple books. A book can be borrowed by only one customer at a time. A customer cannot borrow at the same book more than once at the same time. And lastly, each borrowing transaction must record the borrow date. So, project objective for our project to reduce the time of searching for customer and books data and only use customer IC and book ID. To notify the customer about the due date and penalties given, and to calculate the fine for overdue books. To track all the activities of borrowing books, to minimize the manual record, to reduce carelessness. So next, entity relationship diagram.
So now we're gonna discuss about ERD or known as entity relationship diagram. First, as we can see in the slide, there are 6 tables followed by 5 relationships. So the first table, as we can see, is the customer table with the primary key is customer ID, followed by other attributes such as first name, last name, email, phone, address, and password. The second table is borrow table with the primary key as borrow ID, followed by another 3 foreign key, which is customer ID, book ID, and employee ID, and other attributes such as borrow date and pretended. And as you can see, between customer table and borrow table, there are relationship which is one to many, show that customer can do more than just one borrow transaction. The third table is a book table where the primary key is book ID, follow another two foreign key which is author ID and publisher ID, with the other attribute such as title, genre, ISBN, and year of publish. Another relationship between book table and borrow table, which is one to many, show that there are more than one book that can be borrowed in one transaction. And as you can see, based on three tables, you can see that borrow table is a bridge between customer table and book table. Onto the fourth table, which is author table, following with the primary key, author ID, and other attributes such as name and nationality. Another relationship between author table and book table, which is one to many, show that author can write more than just one book. The fifth table follow, which is publish table, following by primary key, publish ID, with the attribute name and date. Another relationship between publish table and book table, which is one to many, show that publisher can publish more than just one book. And the last table, which is employee table, with primary key, employee ID, and other attributes such as name, position, and phone, have a relationship with the borrow table, which is one to many, show that employee can manage more than just one borrow transaction. Now, for the third normalization form, as we can see, the first is customer, following with the primary key of customer ID and other attributes such as first name, last name, email, phone, address, and password. The other one is borrow, followed by primary key of borrow ID, and another one with borrow date, return date, and other foreign keys such as customer ID, book ID, and employee ID. The third is book, with the primary key of book ID, other attribute, title, genre, ISBN, year of publish, and foreign key of author ID and publisher ID. The next one is author, with the primary key of author ID and other attribute such as name and nationality. Publish, followed by primary key of publish ID and other attribute, which is name and date. And the last one is employee, with the primary key of employee ID and other attributes such as name, position, and phone. So the conclusion is the current manual library borrowing system at Perpustakaan Datuk Jaafar Hassan is inefficient and prone to error due to handwritten record. Issues such as data inconsistency, data redundancy, and data anomalies make it difficult to manage book inventory, customer record, and overdue tracking effectively. The proposed database management system, which is DBMS, provides a centralized platform to store and manage customer book, author, publisher, and borrowing data efficiently. By using unique identifiers such as customer ID and book ID, the system enables faster searching, accurate record keeping, and better control of borrowing activities. The new system helps to reduce staff workload, minimize human error, and improve overall library operation. Automate tracking of borrowing date, return date, and customer service and accountability. In conclusion, the implementation of DBMS-based library system support the library growth, improve service quality, and ensure a more organized, reliable, and sustainable library management system for UiTM progress.
Next, we move on to demonstration.
Assalamualaikum and hi. Now I will demonstrate our database system. So first of all, we're gonna go here. It's like a welcome page where over here we got a home page. It's just bunch of picture of the library. Next is customer page for customer registration and also customer login. And next is staff login. So if the customer want to make a registration, they need to click this button and this form will pop out. So they need to fill all the forms such as customer ID, first name, last name, email, phone, address, and also password. So So after they fill the form, they have to save record. If they're not satisfied with the form, for example, the number phone is wrong, they can just click delete. So we close. Okay, now for customer login, click the button and fill email and password. This message will pop up if they enter incorrect email or password. Okay, after the succeed, this form will pop out. So if the customer want to see list of book that our library had, they can just click here and the report of the list of book will show. So if the customer wants to borrow book, they need to click this borrow transaction and fill out the form. Click add customer ID and book ID. So for book ID, they can search here by title of the book they want to borrow. So for example, Harry Potter. So the book information is shown, and over here is the book ID number one and borrow date. For example, and written that every customer will be given 2 weeks limit for borrowing books. So this date can be filled by customer or employee. So safe and close form. Now for staff login. So for staff, it will show form for every table, such as customer, employee, borrow, book, author, publish, where staff can modify the data inside the table. And next is report for every table. We show the data inside every table. So we got customer report, employee report, borrow report, book report, author and publish report.
Now I would like to demonstrate on how to fill out the forms by using, how to fill out the table by using the forms. First you click on the add and you fill out the author's ID, the author's name, and his or her nationality. Um, and then you click on this save record. So you first refresh the table and there it is for the record added. So next for the book form, you first fill out the book ID, the book's title, its genre, the ISBN, the publish, the author's ID, which is from the author's table, and the publish ID. And you click save record. As you can see, it is inside the books table. So next would be the customer table. Click on the add record, fill in the customer ID. For example, I put in 5670. First name would be Jamal Tonteliver. The email, his phone number, the address, and the customer password. And click on save record. So click on refresh, and here is Jamal don't deliver. Next would be the employee table. Click on the add. We put in the employee ID, the employee's name, her position would be library. No. Assistant, and her phone number, and click on save record. Click on refresh, and here is the employee city. Next would be the publisher's the form. Click on the add. Type in the publish ID, the publisher's name, and the publish date. For example, November 2025 and 19. And click on save record. Here it is. Last but not least, the borrow form. Click on and add new record. We don't have to type in the borrow ID. Just fill in the borrow date. Example, we want to borrow a book at 28 January. The retained date can be filled up later, but for example, I fill it now. With return about 3 days later. The customer ID, which is us. So for example, I take Jamal don't deliver 5670. The book ID that which we want to borrow, for example, The Hobbit, which is 11. The employee ID is also filled out by the employees of the library. But for example, take city and click on save record. Here will be our record for the borrowed form. So now I would like to show the report based on queries. We have 3, which is firstly the most borrowed book. As shows, the most borrowed book is Harry Potter by a total of 4. Next would be employees who handle the most transactions. In this case, Khairul Iman by 6, and then the customer with fine, which is they must pay if they exceed over 2 weeks, which is a total of 14 days. So for example, city with a fine of 47 exceeds the 2-week duration, hence needing to pay 47 ringgit and etc.